Hey, SVGers, welcome back for another episode of the SVG New Sponsor Spotlight, an exciting addition to the SVG family to introduce to you today. We're introducing you to Fortinet. We're joined by John Jacobs. He's the company's field CISO for technology and media. John, wonderful to meet you. Thanks so much for taking a few minutes. How are you and the team doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, and good to make the acquaintances.
Okay, of course. Now, this is a company name that a lot of people might know. You're a big multinational corporation. So for a company as large and multi-industry as yours, what does the company do? And to hyper-focus it a little bit for us specifically, obviously cybersecurity is the big thing for you guys. How do you find that applying to sports production, our industry specifically?
Yeah. So we used to joke we were 40 Who multiple years ago. We've now become a name and a brand, which is fantastic. I've been with the company for 10 years, and to see the growth is outstanding. We really focus on all things cybersecurity, from the very edge up to the core in the cloud and where data resides and transmits. Specific to sports, we ultimately think that the users, all of us in general, are demanding more and more experiences and more enhanced experiences. It's important to secure those. And it's important to do that in a way that doesn't disrupt the experience. So we think with our technology and the products and platforms we have, we can enable that same seamless and positive user experience with security over the top. So that's been a trend of sometimes people take shortcuts in the production of content or distribution, events, etc. We believe that we can have that all together with a working solution. So that's really how we fit in the market, and I think a good intro.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously not asking for any state secrets here because we're talking about cybersecurity here and all, but do you have some examples of some clients specifically in sports that you guys have worked with and have found success with?
Yeah, it's funny because I joke with my wife and people we meet of who is a customer, and I look around if we're driving or sitting there and go, it's essentially, at this point, it's almost everybody.
Sure.
We do have, specific to sports, we do have a couple franchises. People can look them up, the ones that are publicly referenceable. We've got a couple actual big name sports franchises, big organizations that are specific to content distribution. So I think that's the safest way I can say it, is if you just put in a search engine our name plus theirs, and you'll come up with the media profile. But yeah, we've had some ranging everywhere from the folks that make it happen and sort of down, I'll say on the field or on the streets, making the content delivery happen or the event happen, all the way to those that are the event. So that's, I think, the entire spectrum that we could throw out there.
Sure. Fair enough. And, for as this world gets more and more digital and, we see a lot more of our industry go into the cloud and, a lot of more events streaming. Yes, there's, security risks that have become a huge issue for more and more people who work in live sports production. So for those that are interested in learning more about what you guys offer, what are some solutions in the portfolio that you think sports clients would find particularly intriguing?
Yeah. We've got an enormous portfolio. That's it's a great thing in some way, and it's a little bit daunting in others. That we talk to people, and we've got 40 some different product lines. We do this creative naming of, we put 40 in front of everything, and sort of a function of what it does. That makes it a little easier. But the real key here is our core is the protection of data during transit and while at rest. So if you've got content or you're creating content, how do we get it from point A to point B and secure it at both locations and in between? So specifically, next generation firewall, not the greatest name. I've never loved it, but the idea of something that's aware as we're passing data in transit. And then there's this, we call it a fabric, but there's really a sphere around all the technologies, and they range from email security to DDoS protection, client protection, authentication through multi-factor authentication. We do almost everything that you could imagine between the creation and the distribution and consumption of content. We have something that can help secure it along the way. So those are probably the key technologies. That automation is a key trend, and that's a product portfolio we've also done. Most of our growth has been organic. We've done some pretty small tuck-in acquisitions. We tend to look for technology, and that's really how we've grown the company now to, I think it's about $50 billion market cap.
Very cool. Well, before we let you go, we again appreciate you taking the time to introduce you and the company to the SVG crowd. Since you are hyper focused in technology and media in your role, I'm curious from your perspective on a day-to-day basis, what are you looking at in 2023? What's maybe a key trend or two that is kind of directing either what you and the company are doing, or you're kind of interested to see play out in the industry?
Yeah. I mean, the number one trend that comes up today, and it comes up in every conversation, is malware, trying to stop it. Either, through the most common way today is still phishing. Don't click on that email. There's my public service reminder, public service announcement. And we do multiple things to help protect from that. But that's been there as the underlying threat. I think the key trend that we're seeing now, and as we see in the start of 2023, a bit of more focus on efficiency and effectiveness. We're really seeing more of a push into automation. How do we automate a lot of the tasks they're arduous? And as we've grown with the amount of content and information and systems, we can't really afford, companies, tell us we can't really afford to keep doing one step, one thing, one interface. So there's technologies, SOAR is an interesting technology, which really helps automate those redundant, repetitive tasks. And I think if you gave me one topic, that'd be the one I'd focus on for 2023.
All right. He is John Jacobs. He is Field CISO for Technology and Media at Fortinet. You can learn more about them at fortinet.com. John, again, pleasure to meet you. And thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. For more SVG news sponsor spotlights, you can head on over to our website at sportsvideo.org.